There we go. So it's 3 o'clock. We'll go ahead and get started. I kind of want to keep the training itself to about 30 minutes. Don't want to overwhelm anyone. For those of you that have been around, we've talked about this a couple times here and there for the newer ASCs. If you don't have time, or if you missed something or anything, just go ahead and reach out. We're also going to do a Q&A after the call. So if you missed something, we can review it there as well. I just want to go through how to keep things organized and how to get rid of old files, all that good stuff. And it's all done in the templates. The main reason we need to rely on ASCs for this is because we have so many boards across our regions that the RSCs don't always know when there's a form change on your local board. Hopefully we do, but sometimes we miss those things. The other reason is if we do it at the regional level, and we've got purchase agreements from a variety of different boards, it's just confusing for the agents. So a lot of our offices have these forms and these templates set up to make it easier on us and to make it easier on our agents. But it does take some annual maintenance and some cleanup to keep it organized. So we're just going to go over some of the tips and tricks for that, and how to keep those files looking good and getting rid of those old documents as our board releases new documents, or as we as a company release new documents, how to get rid of the old ones and how to bring in the new ones. So we're going to jump right in. I do have the chat box and the participants open, so I can keep an eye on anyone that might have any questions as we go along. But that does mean that sometimes I'll be jumping around trying to get to buttons behind boxes. So just bear with me on that. So most of what we do for our cleanup is, actually all of it, is going to be right here in the templates section. So I'm in the Whitehall office, and I'm going to go ahead and go into the template section. And move my stuff. So depending on how your office is set up, actually I can go ahead and turn on that. Depending on how your office is set up, you may have one or maybe even a couple folders here in your template section for your office. This is where we go ahead and create any documents that are specific to your office, or where we bring something in from one of the other libraries to build out a document more. So those two scenarios would be to either upload a document that's specific to your office by clicking Add a Document and browsing for it on your computer, possibly if it's a new document not offered somewhere else. We're bringing in anything that, we'll go ahead and just bring this in. So say that we wanted to include a copy of our board dues schedule in our new agent packet for the Whitehall office. So I can go ahead and grab that document and bring it in. Now, if I wanted to add fillable fields, this is the folder that I would do that in if it was a new document. So then I would just open it up, and this one isn't going to have any fields, but let's say we had to get a signature field on the bottom. We would just go ahead and add that field. Now, if it's a more extensive document and you actually want some of the data to get pulled in for you, you can add those fields as well. So let's say I added a text box and I wanted the address of a listing property. Again, suspend your imagination here. I know this isn't a real listing document, but let's say I wanted to pull in an address here and I wanted to auto-populate. I can go up here to the labels section and I can add that label. So I can look for listing. We don't want listing agent. We don't want listing broker. We want listing information. So again, there's different fields. There's all kinds of different fields, but we want information on the listing property. And And for some reason, it's not giving me a date or a property address here. So let's look for address. Sometimes, since there's so many different fields, you kind of got to get creative to find what you're looking for. Property address. So we're going to go property address, full address, and apply. So that's a way to map fields. And again, you saw as I was searching through there, there's tons of different things that you can map. There's tons of different information that you can actually build into the forms as you're building them out. Once you have everything you need, you would just go ahead and make sure to hit the blue save button over here. And we're going to look at one that makes more sense that's already built out, but I'm going to go ahead and save. So now that document is built out and ready, and that's how you would, again, bring in a document that's a PDF and build it out. So something that would look like make more sense, we'll go ahead and look at the purchase agreement that's already in here, and we can see these fields have been mapped or have been labels have been added. Time wasn't added, but date was, because date and time they go together in Dotloop. So there's buying agent. These fields aren't mapped correctly, so I'm going to need to go back and fix that because they're both buying agent and one should. Oh, okay, they're primary and alternate. Sorry, I didn't look. I had a box over it. So that is correct. They would both be buying agents. One would be primary and one would be secondary. But you can see how these have been mapped. So this is the county of the property address, and they did that just by going up here and selecting that to map it out. So that's, again, it takes a while to build out a document, but once it's there and it's built out, you're good to go. But that's how that would go, and that's how you would go about doing that. So that's adding documents. However, we were looking at the purchase agreement, and in the majority of our regions, all of them, if I'm understanding correctly, we actually use the purchase agreement that that local board uses. So you don't actually have to build out the purchase agreement or add it from your computer. If there is a document that is in one of these libraries, we want to go ahead and use that document. So if you go to your board library to get your purchase agreement, you would, that's the easiest way to make sure that you have the most current purchase agreement. So I'm going to go here to add document this time. I'm going to go to templates. And I'm going to go to my local board library. This is, which is West Michigan Regional, and I'm going to search for purchase agreement. And I'm going to bring in that purchase agreement. That is the most recent one. It was updated January 12th, 2021. So this is the board purchase agreement that's being used in our region currently. So I'm going to bring that into the Whitehall template library, my office's template library. Now we can make it even easier for the agent. So we brought that in, we know it's the correct purchase agreement, but just like we did with our PDF that we brought in, where did it go? Why isn't it here? Okay. I don't know why it didn't come in. I'm going to try that one more time. Selected it and I'm copying it, clicking OK. And I guess they're calling it provided by the Whitehall office. I'm sorry. Usually it'll say that it came from a board library there. But once it's here, you can double check to see that everything's feeding correctly. And if you want to, you can actually go ahead and add information that's going to be the same every time your agent uses this. So if you want to go ahead and put in the broker license number instead of relying on it to feed correctly, you can go ahead and put that in. If you know you're going to be the selling office. But anything that is going to be consistent across this document every time you use it, you can go ahead and put that in. I'm trying to think of something that would be the same always, but not much would be the same in this document. Once that's done, you can hit save. And there it is. Now, we don't want to, so I'm going to get rid of this one. Unlike loops, if you're in the template area, things can be deleted. So I've brought this in twice. We want to go ahead and delete this. The other thing we want to do when we're bringing in our most recent document is to go through this folder and to make sure that there's nothing that's older. So this is March 16th. That's when our board usually updates their documents, is in March. So this is most likely last year's version. We don't want to purchase agreements in here. And this is part of the maintenance that we're looking for right now, is to get rid of any of those old documents that we no longer want in that folder. So I'm going to delete that. And now we're just down to our one most recent purchase agreement. So going in and getting rid of stuff that we don't need is a huge part of this process. Now, once this folder is cleaned up, there's one other place that we do need to clean up. And that is if your office has created loop templates. And these are when your agent logs in to make a new loop, and he or she can select listing or purchase or whatever templates you have available for them. So once we've cleaned up our main folder that houses our documents, we need to clean up the loop template, because we're pulling the documents from that folder to the loop template, and it doesn't look like we have any here, so I might hop out. In this region, we do use regional templates rather than office templates. So I'm actually going to switch profiles here real quick. So that we can look at our regional template. I have a message from Sheboygan. It says, I don't have permission to delete from the template documents. I am only allowed to download or make a copy. What we found out when I was working with the new ASC in Petoskey is a lot of the North Region templates were created at the regional level. So I can work, if you can get me a list of documents, I can work with Amy, since she's new as well. We can work on getting those regional levels cleaned up. The other option that we did with Abby was I gave her regional access temporarily for her to go in and clean it up, and then pulled it back so she didn't have to get all the notifications. So if you just want to reach out, we can look into whatever works best for you. So I'm going to go down here to my loop templates. This is where we were cleaning up next. We've already cleaned up our folder, our office level folder. And then the loop template folder is where we want to come in and also make sure that, let's go to purchase. We want to make sure that that purchase agreement here matches the purchase agreement that we just updated. So not only do we need to make sure that the most current version is in our folder, we want to make sure that we're using the most current version in our loop template. So I'm going to go ahead here and remove this purchase agreement, and then go to my add document. We're going to go out, since this is different, I'm going to go ahead and we can fix this if we need to add data to this, but I'm grabbing the most recent purchase agreement now. and putting it in to the loop template. So now not only does our folder have the most recent document, and that folder is normally where you're going to go to grab that document, but I went from an office level to a regional level, so I couldn't do that. But you're just going to want to make sure that all your documents in here are the same as your documents in your office level folder. Any questions on that? That's mostly what we want looked at and what we want cleaned up. Again, if you're in the North region or some other office where you find out you can't delete a document that needs to come out or add a document that needs to get added, just let me know and we'll look at your personal admin settings and get those changed if we need to, or find a workaround to get that problem fixed. So again, just really being vigilant. It may go back a couple of years back. I don't know if we talked about this last year with COVID and everything. I'm not sure that we talked about cleaning up our templates, but just really making sure that you go through those office level folders, get rid of anything that's old that shouldn't be there, make sure the most current version of your documents are in there. And then go ahead from that folder and make sure that you update your loop templates if your office happens to have those. Jennifer, anytime that once an agent takes something out of the library and into a loop, it's not going to affect their loop at all. So you shouldn't have any problem deleting anything. The only problem that might cause that warning, she's getting warnings about not deleting a document because it's still in play. It might have been copied into an agent's template folder or even an office templates folder. That might be why you're getting the warning, but it's still best to remove it because even if it's an agent folder, we want to get those old documents out of there. And that will be a heads up to them that they need to update their folder as well. Hopefully that answered that. Any other questions? That actually went quicker than I expected. Oh, sorry, squeaky door. Someone's dropping off. You can let the other two in here too. Huh? You can let the other two in here too. All right. Sorry about that, folks. Sorry about the squeaky door. Yeah, if you delete, it should pull it out of their folder as well, which will give them a heads up that they need to update something. So, yep, absolutely. Get the old forms out of there. We definitely don't want them using it. Even our Coldwell Banker documents or Schmidt Family of Companies documents, again, stuff gets added by several different people. So if you see anything floating around anywhere, give a holler because we try and keep it cleaned up as well. But again, since we have some people adding the same documents in different places, we're trying to get that streamlined. But you guys helping us keep an eye on what's out there and what should be removed is great. Like maybe an old, you know, referral or form or something like that that just ended up somewhere that nobody caught when we switched out forms. So feel free to shoot me an email anytime you see something like that so we can get those updated. Anyone come across anything else that just want to throw out there since it's just us ASCs and nobody else?
Hi, Judy.
Yep.
So Sue actually mentioned to me today, the vacant land purchase agreement isn't auto-filling correctly. But I went into the templates and it should be, like everything's assigned to the right thing, but she said the selling agent name's not pulling in, it's putting it into the alternative selling agent. Everything is a little combobbled, but when I go to the templates, it's looking like it's assigned correctly.
Now, is it mostly something like that where there's a secondary and primary?
No, she's the only selling agent, so I don't know why it's even throwing it into secondary because there's not one associated with that.
So let me hop, is it specifically in Hart?
I think so, and it seems to be the vacant land purchase agreement. most of the time.
Okay, because one thing that probably has happened with that, and I'm trying to think of a document I can grab that would have something like that. Anytime you have two of the same role, you need to do something called grouping. So let's say we had, I'm just going to do signature fields for an example. I'm going to assign it to seller. I'm going to go ahead and add another. Assign it to the role of seller. And I didn't find out this until we were a year or so in. It's not common knowledge, but anytime you have something assigned to the same role, what you need to do is click off so that everything's deselected, and then select both of those fields and group them. Because then that tells the system that if there's only one, just fill in this one. So by grouping it, and my guess is that field hasn't been grouped, so it doesn't know where to throw it. It's just throwing it in either box.
Okay, I'll do that. And then she said like broker license wasn't coming in, but you said that we could go through and put that
You can
in the template. So
yeah.
it's already there. So I'll do that too. Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh. Anyone else? Well, this was a breeze. I thought that was going to be a half an hour just talking about cleanup. So does the cleanup make sense to everybody? I think we've all been in the system long enough now. It's starting to make sense more than it did before. Awesome. All right. Well, Jiminy, no more questions, no more fun stuff. Sarah Bennett, you don't have any questions for me? You're not even going to unmute yourself and try. Oh, you did unmute yourself. I can't hear you. Is everyone excited for Thursday? Oh, you guys need more coffee. All right, well, thank you guys so much. If you run into any hiccups as you're getting things cleaned up, or if you see something in a folder that you don't have access to, absolutely shoot me an email or just reach out and we can make sure it gets taken care of. We do want to get this cleaned up and looking sparkly and shiny before the busy season, and make things as easy as possible for our agents so they don't have a bunch of different purchase agreements and stuff out there to look for. Again, if it's a document that's coming from somewhere else, I would grab it from that library rather than re-upload it. We want as few versions of each document in there as possible. So always double check our folder, our corporate version now folder, for our Schmidt family of companies paperwork. This is where most of it is. And then always check your board library so that you're pulling the closest to the most recent document and we're not adding more of the same document. Yeah, I'm not sure where the recording's going, but Schmidt Video Classroom is my guess. Or maybe in the ASC Square would be more appropriate so we don't confuse agents. But yeah, tomorrow we'll get it uploaded somewhere for people to look at. Although it was super easy, you guys seem to have it down, so we're good to go. All right, everybody, have a wonderful afternoon. I'm glad it was short and simple because we do have a lot of calls and a lot of training this week. Looking forward to seeing everybody on Thursday with all our fancy pants stuff, and looking forward to having a good time with everybody. So have a great afternoon. Thank you for joining me on the call. Glad I was able to keep it short and sweet for you. Again, if you have any questions or need any help, don't hesitate to reach out, and we'll see y'all soon.